Welcome, friends and fans, to another episode of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we are going back to the TARDIS with 3 of its doctors, and now's the time for all of you in our chat room to begin typing in your questions for them. Immediately after this session, you will have the opportunity to talk to them directly through our private chat options, as well as purchasing autographs and personalized recorded messages and anything else you could possibly think of. But without further ado, I think it's time for a change, and not a moment too soon. Let's bring out first. He is an actor whose credits include the brothers War and Peace and Blake Seven. Today, he joins us to discuss his time, no pun intended, as the Sixth Doctor. Please welcome Colin Baker. Oh my goodness, sir. You haven't aged a day.
No, I haven't.
You look fantastic. Oh.
That's the awful truth. The awful reality.
Oh, it's good to have you here today, sir. How are you doing in your part of the world?
Oh, we're soldiering on like everybody else in the world at the moment, in our solitude.
As long as you're washing your hands and wearing the masks, and obviously no one can argue with your choice of masks.
Thank you very much indeed. It doesn't work, I'm glad. It doesn't work.
I'm sure you've got a real one. So, and our next doctor, he is an actor whose roles include Dracula, Sense8, and The Hobbit. Today he joins us to talk about his role as the 7th Doctor. Please welcome Mr. Sylvester McCoy. Oh! Is he talking and we can't hear you through the mask? Oh, we can see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Right. How are you?
We are good.
No, I was just saying that Colin might say it's an improvement. I just thought I'd get it in before he did.
How well you know.
Yes. Anyway, we should all be wearing these. Even the leader of the free world.
Yes, well, speaking of the world, how are you in your part of it right now?
Me, I'm in France. Oh, it's lovely. I was on my way home to England when the president of France put me under house arrest. I put the whole of France under house arrest. We were all in the same boat. Well, not a boat, houses. But I'm in this medieval village up on top of a mountain. It's so medieval. My next door neighbor is Richard the Lionheart. He was put under house arrest on the way back from the Holy Land. Time travel.
Oh my. Well, let's hope his brother John coughs up the ransom. Indeed. And finally,
I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't really, no. So, and finally, he's an actor whose body of work includes the Hornblower series, the series Luther, and of course, the classic With Nail and I. Today he joins us to discuss his tenure as the 8th Doctor. We welcome Paul Mcgann.
I'm liking body of work. That makes it sound serious. Shall I leave the mask on? No, I'll take it off. Hello.
Good.
How's your body?
How you doing in your corner of the world, sir?
Yeah, perfectly happy. You know what? In some ways, I don't want this lockdown to end. It's kind of there are compensations, I think, aren't there?
It definitely goes both ways. I mean, certainly we miss having you gentlemen on our GalaxyCon stages and in front of your fans and our audiences, but we've developed this wonderful cyber stage for us all, and so far it's been working really well, and it gives an opportunity to have all 3 of you at once, and thank you, and as a longtime Who fan, thank you for doing the role when you did, and thank you for coming back to it, whether it's on stage or through Big Finish. You've honored this character, and again, thank you for coming back to the role and doing it justice. And as a representative of fandom, we hope that you've enjoyed the appreciation we've thrown back at you.
We love it. Thank you.
More.
Don't stop now.
I don't have any roses. I'm so sorry. But what I would like to do is I would just like to hear individually during your time on the live action side of the Doctor Who equation, what was one of the most memorable things you experienced on the set?
Age before beauty.
Who's first?
That's Sylvester.
Okay, that's Colin. No, you're a month older than me.
Technically, Colin.
You're a month.
Colin, you would have been for. Oh, I love your mug.
Thank you. I like yours.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, experience on the set. Well, yeah, it is because you, like every other actor who's played it, apart from William Hartnell, you've seen other people inhabiting it before you.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you're encroaching on territory that you're very familiar with, and it very soon becomes an important part of your life. All I can say is I enjoyed every minute of it. For some reason, normally you're nervous when you go into jobs, or I always have been. But this one, I thought, well, they've asked me to play it. I must be able to. So I just turned up and did it. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely fair. We certainly enjoyed you.
Thank you.
Well, can I, in descending order, or no?
Sure.
5, 6, 7. Shall I go next? The thing that I remember most was we were filming at Waterloo Station. It was the underneath the arches. It was the 60th anniversary of the Easter Uprising in Ireland, when the Irish started the disintegration of the British Empire. And they were doing the remembrance of the Daleks. The pyrotechnic boys at the BBC set off these vast explosions as Dalek factions were fighting in the tunnels. The smoke came out. There was cars' alarms went off. Windows were cracked. And on the local radio, it said the IRA had blown up Waterloo Station. And suddenly there were fire engines, there were ambulances, there were cars. I was standing there, and coming towards me was an ambulance, and it screeched to a halt. And the ambulance driver's jaw came down to his chest, because out of the smoke came 3 Daleks. And if you listen very carefully, though, you could hear them say, "Exterminate, Boyle, exterminate."
Oh, okay.
Interestingly, I'm going to chip in here. I was born about 10 yards from there at the lying-in hospital at the south end of Waterloo Bridge.
Oh, I know that hospital. Yeah.
And I had a lot of explosions going on as well. Mind you, that was
The Second World War.
Yes.
Or was it wind? I don't know.
Like that.
How about you, Paul? First of all, what are you munching on there?
Dark chocolate. That's my poison.
I'm a big aficionado of the dark chocolate, so
I like it when it's like you can get sort of 80, 90, almost 100% dark chocolate. I kind of like it when it's 100% because it's like dirt.
Yeah.
It's like chewing dirt. It takes ages.
Yeah.
So I'm up in this little bar. It'll last me the next 2 hours.
Nice.
You know, when you ask about the live, the experiences on the set, of course, for the 8th Doctor, aggregately, I must have shot only about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
For the most part, of course, the 8th Doctor lives on audio.
Yeah.
So I shot for 6 weeks about 25 years ago, whatever it was, and about 6 minutes, it seems, about 5 years ago. So and it went really quickly. I can just remember what I remember most about shooting when we shot the pilot, the so-called movie, was having McCoy there. That's really what I remember most. That's my fondest memories, having him there, kind of looking after me, holding my hand a bit. And then did we do some? Ken, did we do some? Or am I dreaming that? Did we do a kind of video making of, or were you at the time doing some?
Yes.
We were. I didn't dream.
Bidding a Jew with what's his name? Who wrote Sherlock? Who's a great Doctor Who fan.
So I didn't dream. You were shooting something while we were.
It was me bidding a Jew to Doctor Who. With what's his name? I'm terrible with names. He's a lovely man who writes Sherlock.
Give us a clue.
Moffat or Gaddis?
Mark Gatiss. Stephen
Mark
Gatiss. Yeah.
Lovely Mark Gatiss. Yeah, he and I filmed this documentary with making me say goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was sad.
That's what I remember.
But it was, yeah.
And I remember you were there for the first week or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and then in machine.
I remember we went to a pub. Did we not go to a pub?
Probably.
And there was this. We were a bit loud, and a bouncer came up, and he was going to throw us out. Do you remember?
No, it was. I remember that. It was like a local guy. He was the size of a doorway. He was there with his friends. I think we were being a bit loud. And he came over to bash our heads together. And you did your thing. You charmed him. You played the spoons on his leg.
Yes, and he didn't kill us.
He didn't kill. Well, we're here to tell the tale. But somehow his friends kind of dared him not to laugh, and he did. And it was like a scene in a movie, wasn't it? Anyway, he spared us. And we got home.
Thank goodness for that. And again, absolute credit to the producers, because I always tell everybody to when they watch the pilot movie to always watch the behind the scenes stuff about how producers fought really hard to make sure, Sylvester, you were on there to do that crossover. And again, that as a fan back then, that was what we're all worried about, because from our perspective, it was like, oh, they're going to Americanize it. They're going to reboot the canon. And then we heard you were in it. And it was like,
And yet another regeneration when someone doesn't turn up. I mean, that was what was feared.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did Big Finish start up for each of you?
I guess it would have been, was it
Colin,
around the same time, sort of millennium, 2001, 2? Was it around?
I remember Colin and I was somehow asked by fans to make audio Doctor Who's in the basement of their flats. And then suddenly professional people come along and took it over.
What, around that time? Around
They were the same people, basically. They just decided
before you came.
Yeah, they did, but they were all fans, Doctor Who fans, who sensibly said, well, the BBC aren't going to do it, we'll do it. And they persuaded us to come to it. We did a few, real fan stuff for nothing. And then a few of them were working in business as writers and decided that they'd start Big Finish. And that was...
do any of them still exist? I mean, the recording?
Gary Russell and Nick Briggs, they were there right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And Gary left and Nick Briggs took over.
But for me, that's always been it's not an original thing to say, but it's worth repeating. All down the years, for the most part, Doctor Who has been looked after by fans, people who love it. Most of the talent must have, the custodians of it have always been people who, just have its best interest at heart. It's been a great strength, that.
Yes, I know.
David Tennant and Peter Capaldi were proper fans. Capaldi,
serious.
Yes, and the producers, Moffat and Russell, they were fans. And they brought it back. It was the fans that we've got to be thankful for us being here.
When the fans took over, the script got better. They really did. I mean, the scripts you get from Big Finish, which is 90% former Doctor Who fans, most of them are a cut above a lot of the broadcast ones.
I think quite a few of them also, is it true to say some of them, most of them, in fact, cut their teeth on the novels as well. So they were already into the swing of it. But I agree, the scripts are nigh on perfect.
Yes,
really.
And for our audience that may not be aware, Big Finish is a series of audio adventures which continues the adventures of all three of these doctors, as well as previous doctors. They also do other franchises such as Sapphire and Steel, The Prisoner, and they're a wonderful magical audio factory, I call them.
Here.
And the attention to detail that they spend 10 times more time, I don't know how they do it, on post-production than most commercial organizations can afford to do. And they still do it at a decent price. That's again because I'm sure that they're charging for about 2 hours work when they do 15.
Absolutely. Do you? Is there a particularly memorable Big Finish adventure that you've done that you're very proud of?
When I was working with Colin and Paul.
Oh.
Tell lies.
And you hadn't learned your lines either.
No, that's the wonder of it. You don't have to learn the
You
lines.
can wear your own clothes.
I mean, how did you know?
That is true. That is true. You are free from costuming, which is, I don't need to tell
No,
you.
I always dress up. It's difficult to remember because you get the script, you mark it up, and you read it over 2 days. It's intense and a glorious work. I mean, it really is wonderful work sometimes because you get completely inside your head and you're there. You're completely there. The sets are better than any Hollywood set. You know, everything, the sound, it's all wonderful in your head. But then you leave and it's forgotten. The only thing you never forget are the meals.
Yeah, the famous food.
Toby,
the genius Toby. Toby runs the whole thing. He does the sound, he does everything, and he has a cupboard. And it's a little cupboard, but when he closes the door, it's like the TARDIS. It opens up and there's a huge kitchen with hundreds of chefs. And then he comes back out and we go in there and we have the best food you could ever have. The money's terrible, the food is good.
Yeah, but the crack is mighty, as they say.
Right.
And that studio that we work in is, you know, it's in Moat House.
Yeah,
it's kind of great. You know, they built these. It's purpose built. I mean, they've knocked together these isolation booths with little windows in, so we can all see each other. So although, you know, so we can all be on separate channels, obviously, and we're all. But it means you're still together. It feels like it feels like a party. Mm-hmm. But curiously, of course, since the lockdown and the restrictions, we've still been able to record. But it's been more like this. Haven't you done one? Get with the program.
They haven't, because of being in France, because I'm locked in France. They haven't been able to get me to do one.
One of my doctors is missing.
Yes.
I haven't done
a French version.
I haven't done one yet, but I'm doing one next week. And I'll be doing it in this room I'm sitting in now.
It's different.
Have you got?
Let me tell you, it's a little bit different. You do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not. It's good. It works. Of course, it works. The technology is fantastic. But like I said, you do miss the. You miss the crack. You know, you miss the. You miss the gang in that room, and anyway, I think
absolutely. You gentlemen have been a staple on the convention scene, and I've always walked by your tables, and I've always been very pleased to see you really take your time with the fans, and you really give 100% either in the Q&As or at your tables. I just want to know, is there a fan encounter that particularly resonates with you as a fond memory?
Yes, I'd been Doctor Who for 7 years, and I met this fan, and he was so excited. It was unexpected, but he was carrying a plastic bag full of paraphernalia, video recordings and everything, books, and he kept going, "Oh, you must sign these," and I kept signing all this stuff, and he was trying to take a photograph with a long lens, but that was in the days of film, and he was shaking like anything with excitement. I kept thinking, I hope he's got a fast film in there. Anyway, and he kept, "Oh, Doctor Who, it's the best thing. I love Doctor Who, and you are my 5th favorite Doctor." That was a memorable one.
You weren't even on the podium.
I've had one.
Pardon?
I've had one similar to that, only mine was worse because he started off doing all that and then said, "And you're my 7th favorite Doctor." He demoted me while he was talking to me.
Oh my goodness!
I was going to be his 5th favorite. I ended up you.
We could have been equal favorites, Colin.
It's always Tennant, isn't it, as well as the favorite? When you question them.
Yeah.
It's always Tennant. He's always in the gold medal position. I don't know, whatever. What's that guy got?
It depends on the age, I think, too. If you got gray hair like me, American fans, we tend to imprint on Tom. Yeah. You know,
is that right?
Yeah. The Millennium kids, though, they tend to imprint on David. And then of course, then you need to explore, and to me, there are no bad doctors. There may be bad scripts, but there are no bad doctors.
Said like a diplomat.
I will tell you, talking about fans, I'm sure all of you have got the same story, only different. Most bizarre things to sign. My most bizarre was a lady who said to me, "Do you sign breast implants?" I thought, I haven't before, and she produced this globule onto the desk in front of me, which was her former breast implant, and persuaded me to get my Sharpie out and sign it. So there you are.
Sorry, what was that? You got out. There was a crack there. You got what out?
So you dropped out. What?
I know celebs have been asked to sign real breasts, but that's the first time I've heard any celebrity sign an implant. Good on you, sir. That's an original.
I couldn't think of a reason to say no, basically.
Why would you? Sylvester, Paul, have you guys ever had to sign anything peculiar?
Gosh, yes. I mean, you know, the usual thing: breasts, bottoms.
Bottoms too. Oh my!
Yeah.
Have you done it? Yeah, have you done it yet? Where and they bring it back, and it's the next day. You see them the next day, and it's a tattoo.
Yes,
that happened once,
yeah,
and I just thought, that's it, never again. I'm not gonna do that again.
Well, there was one guy I signed, and I signed SYL McCoy, and then he came back later, and it stretched to SYLVESTER McCoy. But I'm not going to say what it was I signed.
I think we should move on to audience questions.
Colin, you look shocked. Have you frozen? Is
Yes.
Colin frozen?
Yes, he's frozen. Actually, I'm told we have a pool of questions from our audience, so I'll ask Vindette, our producer, to lay the first one on us.
Hey, was he stretch umbrella? You know those umbrellas that stretch?
The telescopic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why? So, okay. Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And this one comes from Tinny, and they would like to know, if you could go anywhere, any place in time, where would you go?
well, I'll start with nobody else will. I will go to a place where Donald Trump's parents first met and distract him, take him for a drink, anything. Quite frankly, not wishing to be controversial.
This is your show, sir.
That's not controversial.
Well, you just out for a drink. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'd be there with you, Colin, buying the drinks.
Distracting him with spoons.
Yeah. Where would I like to go?
I'd go back to the 50s.
Where would I like to go?
I think.
Oh, I was in the 50s.
Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous. I think that's quite a common thing. You know, it's like maybe it's just an age thing. You get slightly jealous of people slightly older than you, that you feel like you missed out on some fun. I always do.
On a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, right enough. It was the arrival of Elvis, and it was the arrival of. But I mean, you were the Beatles and the Stones.
I was reading this.
60s was.
In fact, I'm looking at it now across the room. There's a Frank O'Hara poem about the death of Billie Holiday. It's called "The Day Lady Died," and he's describing, what he did on the day, as was his style. But right at the end, he describes being in this club. Small club, and he's jammed up against the wall. Well, the John door, as he says, the place is packed, and he's listening to her and Mal Waldron, and she's playing the piano, and I'd love to have been there. So there, on that day, stood next to Frank O'Hara by the gents' toilets, so to speak. Listen to Billie Holiday. Doesn't get any better than that, folks.
I think I'd quite like.
Go ahead,
I can't remember. Yeah, I quite like to go back and meet Jesus, see if he actually existed. I bet he's a nice chap.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Thank you. All right, that works. Tinny, thank you. That was a good one. What do we have next? From
Yeah.
Jacqueline. Oh, hello from Brazil. Oh.
Hey, Brazil.
Wow. When you were filming Doctor Who, did you ever imagine that the show would last so long and would impact so many generations?
Colin, you were first there.
I was first last time. But
Well, let me go first. And shall I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
You guys,
when I first got involved, and we went, McCoy and I went to Vancouver and we shot the pilot. For those who may not know, Doctor Who had actually been off the screen. It had been kicked into the long grass for 6 or 7 years. So there was a different feeling, that there was a chance at that time that it might never return. And we were sort of gambling with it and hoping, but it had disappeared. So I know it's not exactly the answer you wanted, but all we could hope for then was that it would just make some kind of return. We were actually looking, seems strange to say it now, but the pilot was made because some people had an instinct that there might be some fans in the United States who might watch it in sufficient numbers to try and revive the thing. So it's worth remembering that there was a time when it nearly died, but it was resuscitated.
Yeah,
I always remember
Colin.
Good. Go ahead, Sylvester.
No, I was just going to say, Colin nearly killed it off, but he failed. So they got me in, and I killed it off.
You strangled the life out of it, McCoy.
Colin failed to kill it off, but get McCoy in.
Yeah, get McCoy in. And then, like taking a criminal back to the scene of the crime, we had to grab you physically, take you to Vancouver, retrace your steps.
Pay me lots of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And see what happened.
There was a curious demographic though about yours, Paul, was that when in the initial showing in the ratings, it did okay, but one thing I read about later was that it was the #1 thing that had been videotaped.
Wow, that really dates it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does a VCR. But that always had my theory that if modern television as it exists now is streaming and season dumping and everything else, I think you might have gotten more legs out of it at the time.
All right, so you're saying that those numbers of people that videotaped it weren't taken into account?
They weren't taken into consideration, no. No, they weren't. If they had been, I think that would have tipped the scales. It was like when Star Trek was canceled and they were looking at the raw numbers and not the demographics. If they looked at the demographics of that, they might have.
Okay, maybe that's like a slide indoors a moment, but you got to be careful what you wish for. Had what happened, had what you just described happened, we may have gone to series, and in which case, no one would be talking about David Tennant or Matt Smith or Chris Eccleston.
So why didn't it happen?
It wasn't meant to happen.
because it came down to you.
And you were meant to get away with murder, McCoy.
It came down to you guys and Sliders, and they went with John Rhys Davies. So you can yell at him next time you do a show with him.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry about that. We'll get him. We'll gang up on him.
You four were in the same position as William Hartnell, really. You were starting at the
kind of.
Yeah.
But no pressure.
So, I mean, when I took over and when Sylvester took over, I don't know if something similar happened to you. John Nathan Turner asked me if I wanted to play it and took me upstairs to meet a man called David Reed, who was the head of series and serials. And he kept on saying, you do realize, don't you, that this is going to go on forever. You're going to get stuck with this for a long time, this show. It almost as if he was trying to talk me out of it. But because then they thought it was eternal. Whereas you were starting from a different standpoint. You'd been off for 13 years.
Yes, which
is... Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it felt strange then.
I could never imagine
because back in the mid-90s, wasn't it? Obviously, it had been on for 20 odd years. Well, how long? 20, 30 years. So, of course, it had established fans. But now it had transferred. The idea was to get it off the ground in North America. So it was going to have a kind of strange second life. But the pilot, in a way, was it still had to acknowledge those fans back home, but try and appeal to a new set of fans, or at least notional fans, in the new world somewhere else. And kind of didn't quite manage, or kind of perhaps fair to say it sort of fell between the two somewhere.
Well, I don't think I should have been in it, because they could have maybe brought me back later. They should have started it with a story with you to grab it. It was too complicated. This doctor arrives, and then he does this, and then suddenly someone else arrives, and it's all, for people who don't know, have the back history. It's unclear. It's a bit fuzzy. So they should have just done you and then called me back later.
I'd never thought of that. Maybe you're right, but
I think it was just a bit fuzzy.
Anyway, you stole the first half an hour, so, and I've always been slightly bitter about that.
I will say this. I will say this with Paul. Your TARDIS set was one of my all-time favorites.
I think that's still the best one ever.
Hey, wait a minute. Come back here. It was my TARDIS set.
That's true.
I arrived in it.
I
recycled.
I arrived in it. The thing is, when I was doing it, people would ask me, what would I like my set to be like? And I did say steampunk. And so when I arrived on the set, I thought, I've got my set at last. And then some Liverpudlian came along and stole it.
Nicked it. Filched it.
Next me fucking set.
Jacqueline, thank you.
Thanks.
What's that?
Thank you.
Look after your TARDIS, Gov.
Oh, yeah. From Cosmo Dad and Logan, age 5 in Victoria, would like to know what was it like to regenerate?
Colin.
Logan. Yeah, it's a cheeky question.
Hey,
Make something up.
Logan.
I'll try to explain to Logan.
I took over from Peter. That's a regeneration.
Yes, it is.
And it was lovely to regenerate, because I spent a day in the studio watching everything go wrong for Peter's last recording, when the monster didn't work and they had to rewrite the script quickly and step over its dead body instead of him fighting it. And then they had a few minutes left at the end for me to regenerate. And I found that was quite stressful, actually. You know, the less you're doing, the more stressful it is, I always find. If you're playing the lead in the show, to hell with it, get on with it. But if you've got one line, it's murder.
Can I ask a really silly question?
Always.
Yeah. I've just realized how silly this question probably sounds. In a regeneration scene, is only one of you regenerating?
Yep.
So when we when we shot the pilot, was it only you, McCoy, that was regenerating?
Yeah.
Okay, now I know. That only took me 25 years to twig, but there we go. I got there in the end. So I can sit. Yeah. I can sit this question out because I've never regenerated.
Well, you have.
Oh, you?
No, I haven't.
Didn't you do that with
No.
You did that. That
what?
Special.
The war doctor.
Oh yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I must say.
Oh yeah, I did. I've forgotten that.
Day of the Doctor. Yeah.
Like I say, all over the flash.
You became John Hurt.
I played John Hurt.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually there. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So I did get one. I did get two. Yeah. I remember when.
Sorry.
Go on.
No. You carry on.
When it came back, it being Doctor Who in 2005, and this is the actor in me talking, I was slightly upset, kind of bitter for about 20 minutes that the phone didn't ring. And I, when Eccleston had been cast, I thought, oh, this is it. We're gonna shoot some regeneration scene. Of course, the phone never rang anyway. Nobody ever spoke to me. I still regret that. I kind of wish we'd shot that. I'd like to have gone through that.
Well,
anyway,
I wished I'd shot one as well.
Because you said so you couldn't.
There you go.
But I mean, I turned up for my regeneration scene, and all that was there was the costume.
Oh.
Couldn't find the actor anywhere, so they put me in the costume.
They couldn't.
And he's such a big, tall man. He's such a big, tall man. They lost me for 3 days. So I'm actually the Doctor who played Doctor number 6 and 7. So there we go.
Yeah, that I'm sorry, that wig did not cut it.
Harpo Marx, you know.
Nothing against you.
They
So.
borrowed it from him.
Cosmo Dad and Logan, thank you.
Cheers, Cosmo Dad and Logan.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, from Rebecca. What person or thing had the most influence on how you portrayed each of your doctors?
Patrick Troughton was my doctor, and I saw him way back in the 60s. And then I hardly ever saw Doctor Who again, because I was an actor working, and the young 5-year-old that was just asked that last question, he'll find this hard to believe, but it went out once and never repeated. There was no way of recording it, etc., etc., etc. So I lost complete touch. So when I got the role, I had Patrick Troughton in my head. He was but that was 20 odd years, I don't know, 20 odd years back. A distant memory of Patrick Troughton. He influenced me.
Very good.
And in your turn, you influenced me, of course. When we were there in.
Because you what?
When we shot the part.
Oh, yeah.
But incidentally, my agent at the time was Janet Fielding.
Oh, lovely Janet.
And just so happened to be Janet Fielding, and she was there for a week at the beginning as well. So I think she sort of got into me and had her say. On how
she would.
She would. She did. Repeatedly.
Mouth on legs.
Yeah. But strangely, we'd never had that conversation until we. It just hadn't occurred to us.
Wow. Do do. So, how about you, Colin? Do you have any inspirations or you just decided to just go crazy and take it from there?
Kind of. Before I played it, I watched several episodes of each Doctor and found qualities in each of them that I kind of plundered now and then. You know, I did the odd lapel hold, which is one of the first Doctors.
William Hartnell.
Yeah, that's the fella. Yeah.
Did you do it now? Show us them on.
Ooh.
Very well.
Look and learn, kids.
Was that your lapel? Was that your lapels you were holding?
And I thought you had to have, because Peter had his stick of celery, I thought you had to have something like that. So I chose the cat badge.
Yeah.
On the basis of the old Kipling thing, I am the cat who walks by himself, and all places are alike to me. And I thought that kind of summed up the Doctor. He's the Lone Ranger. Comes in, does what he does, and then clears off again.
Yeah. Who was that masked man?
Exactly.
We forgot to thank him.
There was a mask? Who was that strangely dressed man?
Yeah.
Indeed. Rebecca, thank you. That was a good one. What's next? From Paula. If you could travel with any of the other Doctor's companions, which ones would you choose?
Which ones?
One.
You get more
or one.
Rose.
Well,
right.
one or multiple. Your choice.
Can I say Rose?
Yes, you can.
Can I also say Rose?
Yes, you can.
Can I say Leela?
Yes,
you can.
You can.
Say whatever you like.
No, because she's a good friend.
If we say Rose, nobody will realise how much, in fact, I'm in love with Sophie Aldred.
That's not Rose. She's not Rose.
We all are.
I know.
We're all in love with Sophie.
So we say Rose so nobody knows.
Other Doctors.
I think she was a naughty companion.
I would.
Companions and Doctors don't do what they did. I was told no hanky-panky in the TARDIS, I was told, when I started the job.
By whom? By executives at the BBC?
Yes. No hanky-panky in the TARDIS. So,
Rule number 1.
Yes.
What do you believe? There has been hanky-panky in the TARDIS, Colin, has there?
Not in my TARDIS. Are you able to say the same thing?
No. Yes,
It begins by somebody else holding your lapels.
Well, Paul, you were the first Doctor to openly kiss somebody, so.
God, if I'd only have realised that at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I just in my innocence, I'd assumed you'd all done it. Frenchies, in McCoy's case.
Indeed. Paula, great question.
I got to kiss River's song.
Did you really?
On audio, sadly.
Okay.
Does that mean you have to do it to the back of your hand? It's one of those.
Didn't look as good as
her. She does make it that. Yeah. For me, I'm a Joe Grant fan, but I'll leave it there. Paula, thank you for that question.
Thanks, Paula.
What do we have next? From Spiral. Do you ever get tired of seeing your own face on different products?
Oh, products.
I think that's a very American question, isn't it? Because we don't do that quite as much over here. But unless you mean films, I don't know really.
I'd say for Doctor Who apparel or whatnot.
The little statues and is that what you mean?
Probably, yeah, different products, you know. But what's it like being an action figure?
On the merch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or on the magazines, you know, the front page.
On the magazines. I've got to say now, or latterly anyway, what I do like is you know, what with the new technology is that the little figurines particularly becoming a lot more accurate.
Yes.
You know, there's been those occasions where they're taking like 360 photographs of us and they come to the thing and, you know, and then some computer sort of reproduces the figure, you know, whereas not even 10 years ago, they were kind of similar, but not.
Well, my first one was like, you know, like, you know, it's like.
Yeah, you look like a womble.
Yes.
Yeah, literally. Yours are those Gamble ones. They were like the.
Yeah, exactly.
That was exactly it. But the character option ones from a few years ago. I like those.
If anything, now they're looking slightly too realistic, in my view.
Yeah.
You know, sort of.
When I first started,
blemishes and all. You know, go on.
Carry on. Yeah. No. It was when I first started doing it. I have many vanities, but one of them is I didn't really look at myself much, except shaving. I knew this bit of my face really well. And then suddenly, at the age of 40 odds, I become Doctor Who, and I'm signing the photograph of this old man. And I think, who is it? And it's me. But now I'm 76 3/4, 1 month behind Colin. I'm signing this young man.
So what you gain on the roundabouts or however that.
Yeah.
You lose on the age. Yes, I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
I'm now signing for a young man.
What's that Bob Dylan line? I was whatever. You know,
I was so much younger than I'm older than that now.
Yeah.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Spiral, thank you.
Thank you, Spiral.
Bye, Spiral.
From Sam G. What's your favorite Doctor Who stories? Maybe ones you've been in or perhaps ones you haven't.
I love my favorite by far was one of Mr. Eccleston's, and it was a 2-weeker. It was the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances.
That was brilliant.
One line at the end.
Who wrote the Moffat? Was it a Moffat one?
Yeah. There was one line at the end where he said, and the best thing of all, he said to Rose, or whoever it was, everybody lives. And it was one where there had been casualties, but they all returned and were. Yeah. And it's the only time I've watched Doctor Who and got a shiver down my spine because of that line. Yeah. Everybody lives. And it was so important. I thought that's what it's about.
Yeah, agreed. That's my favorite. My favorite story is Eccleston as well.
I liked it as well when Eccleston's doctor said, "Everywhere's got to have a north." You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, it's a big deal for us Northerners here. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Mind you, all that stuff about Northern. I
know. Don't get.
I come from Manchester, but I had
McCoy's Scottish.
You're all Southerners to me.
Exactly right.
I look down on you.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. As an American, you all sound alike to me.
Thank God for that. Come over here and say that.
Honestly, that line about the North threw a lot of American fans. Like, wait, North accent? What are they talking about? And yeah, it was a lot of people over here were like, oh, so Sam, thank you for that question. And a reminder to our audience, if you'd like to chat with our guests like I am now, or purchase an autograph, or pick up a personalized personal recording, please sign up at galaxycon.com. I think we have time for one more question, so Vendette, throw a really good one at us. From Rachel. What was it like when they each had to leave being the Doctor?
I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's very true.
It's like being the president. You know what I mean?
Because in a way, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
You still miss the president for the rest of your life. You know, it's just on it goes.
We're doing Big Finish, so that's a blessing. But it was I was very sad because when I got the job, Peter Davidson said to me that Patrick Troughton had told him only do 3 years. 3 years. And so Patrick Troughton being my doctor, I thought, well, that's it. So in my head, I was only going to do 3 years. And then on the second year, the producer came to me and he said, JNT said, we want you to do a 4th season. And I went, and he went, if you don't do a 4th season, we'll cancel the whole thing. Oh, God. So I said, okay, I'll do a 4th season. And I got my mind around it. And when I was doing it, I was only doing 15 episodes a year, which was brilliant. So I had a telly job and I could go do theatre for the other half. But this was a whole year coming up. But I got my head around it and I started to look forward to it. And then they cancelled it. So I was really annoyed. I was really annoyed that they put me into that position.
Yeah.
I suppose the only well, it doesn't really count for me, but when the pilot that we shot wasn't picked up and we never went to a series, it was disappointing. It felt like the end, and it felt like a missed opportunity. And but you know, being in showbiz and being an actor, you're quickly onto the next thing, and you kind of put it behind you. But I was really disappointed.
Yeah,
it's one of those things, you know. But it's showbiz, you know. Your life almost changes, you know.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't, and then next Monday you're somewhere else. You know, you're working on someone else's thing.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question for we three, because before us, Peter knew when he was ending. They had a party, and he went, and I came in. None of we three had that. There wasn't a moment. Apart, I'm leaving. So there was no moment when you thought, right, I'm off. It happened when we weren't in the room, as it were.
Yeah.
It was a factory job then.
Yeah.
Whether it's solid, but you make a very good point that we're all still able through Big Finish to enjoy your adventures, and I hope that continues on. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you today. And GalaxyCon viewers, this has been my time with the doctors, but it does not have to be yours. If you would like to have a private chat with them, grab a picture, grab an autograph, or get a personalized recorded message, please sign up at galaxycon.com. Gentlemen, before we go, any final words for our audience?
Stay safe. Social distance. Look after yourselves.
Wash
your hands.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
And wear a mask.
Yeah. This thing ain't over. You know, one day we're all going to meet again in you know, some big crowded place, and it's going to be joyous. But right now ain't that time. So just be careful. Honestly,
and if you subscribe to Big Finish
look
to on audio, it makes it easier to stay in isolation.
Quite right.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, once again, thank you all for joining us today. Oh, go ahead. Sylvester, you were
No, I
saying.
was just going to say you're always alone. You're always alone with Big Finish.
Gentlemen, this has been an absolute delight. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for those great questions.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you later on today.
Bye, Colin.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Paul.
Rock around the ring.
Bye, doctors.
Bye,
Good to see
everyone.
you. Bye.
Take care, everyone. And